Kia ora tata. If I could just ask everyone to please find a seat. Maybe some of you towards the back might move forward. I think we've got a few still on the road, kei te hara mai tonu, so just make sure we leave some space for them. So, ka pai. Nō reira matua wiremu, hara mai rā. Hei whakatūwharei tō tātou nei huinga.
Kia ora. Kia ora. Wiki would like us to be like that. Inui tātou, let us bow heads in prayer. E tō mātou mātou i te rangi, kia tapu tō ingoa, kia tā mātou rangatiratanga, kia mea tō e pai ai ki rungo te whenua, ki re te ano ki tō te rangi, ho mai ki mātou i nā nei. E tarama mātou mo tēnei rā, muru mātou hara. Me mātou hoki muru nei, e o te hana kia mātou. A woki mātou e kāwe, kia wagawange, engari, whakaranga mātou i te kino, no hoki, te rangatiratanga me te kaha me te kōrea, ake, amine. What a great rangatira here. Rangatira there. E kui mai, koroma, ngā iwi ngā hau e whā, the League of Nations, tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai, haere mai, te whenua rangatāne o mano tū. Ngā mihi nui, kia koutou. Nei rā mātou turopu kurau ke nei raru i te koro ai o te rangi Māori. Ki te kawa nei, ki rungu te kaupapa o te rā. And I've had short things to keep it at that. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa.
Tēnā rā koe, wiremu, te matua nau rā i whakawairui tō tātou hui, i whakatūwhera hia, i haumarutia, i tērā mea te aroha i kōrerotia nei e koe. Nō reira he mihi mahana ki a koe koutou rā, au te haukainga o Rangitāne o Manawatū, i pupuri nei te mauri o tēnei whenua, nō reira tēnā koutou, huri no tēnā tātou katoa. Tuatahi, kei te whānau, kia koutou, Malcolm, Molly Rose, Ihaya, Patrick, koutauma, tēnā rā, tai atu ki nā piringa whakapapa i whakakotahi mai i hei tuarā mā koutou i tēnei wā. Tēnā rā koutou i karangahia mai, kia whakapiri mai tātou, me pēnei te kōrero, kei roto i te hōtoke i nei te āhua tō tātou rangi ko te raumati i whakawhitihia mai rā tō tātou nei tuahine. Ngari tēnā koutou, te tiro nei ki te tini me te mano, me rā atu kua hono mai i runga i te purangi. Kia whakawhaiti mai i nā whakaro nui tō tātou nei tuahine. A Wiki, kia whakawhāriki hia o nā pūkenga, o nā ahuatanga pai katoa. Kia maumahara, kia whai hoki me ki i te whakakahi o tātou nei pūmau ki nā ahuatanga nui kia ia. Just want to acknowledge directly the whānau and thank you for embracing this opportunity to recognise and celebrate our tuahine. Nā mihi mai oha kia koutou, huri noa ki nā tātai whakapapa katoa ona i whakapiri mai, kahununu, koutou rā, me rātu ono hononga tēnā koutou i whakamana i tō tātou nei hui i tēnei wā. Nō reira, e te iwi, te tini e te mano, nau mai hara mai whakatau mai. Nā mana, nā reo, nā pātaka, nā tāonga tuku iho, nā uri o nā mātua tipuna, tēnā koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou e kao mai nei, ki roto i tō tātou nei whare, ko tahi tonu te kaupapa i whakawhaiti mai tātou, ko Wiki, nāna te karanga, ki hui mai tātou i tēnei ahiahi. Nō reira, nā rangatira katoa, kei roto i tō tātou whare, kei konei pea, ko hono mai e tahi mema pāramata, nō reira mihi ata ki tērā taha, me koutou o te kaunihera o Papa Ioia, Grant, te kahika tēnā koe, koutou ko nā kaunihera, huri noa nā kai kaunihera, nā tumu matua, nā kai whakahaere, nā amorangi me nā hapai o ngā mihi. So it's very humbling to be here. My name is Todd Taipa. I'm the Māori advisor with Palmerston North City Council, and the whānau's asked me to MC our occasion today to recognise, to celebrate, and to be inspired by Wiki and her achievements while she was with us, which are many, as we will recount this afternoon. Nō reira he tikara ki te huri atu kia ia, kia rātou mā koe whetūrangihia. Me ki pēnei ake te kōrero tūkuna rātou, ke oki i te moenga roa, tātou nā waihotanga ki te ao. Engari ka tāpirihia tēnei kōrero ki te tuahine me hoki wairua mai koe. I te mārei kura, noho tata nei ki tō whānau, o iwi, kia tātou katoa mo tēnei wā, te whakanui i a koe me nā tangata, nā hāpori, nā kaupapa e rata ana ki a koe. So Wiki, while we acknowledge our sadness at your passing, we have a saying, hoki wairua mai, and on this occasion we ask that your presence be amongst us this afternoon. Help us to conduct this ceremony with grace, to honour you and what you have achieved, what you've activated, what you've fought for, and particularly in relationship to the community. And in spirit of your karakia wiremu, may our time together uplift what was so important to Wiki. Help us as we share our memories of you and what you stood for, so that we may be strengthened and build some momentum on what you had achieved while you were with us. So we gather together to celebrate Wiki's service, and this ceremony will also include the conferral of the New Zealand Public Service Medal. Nō reira, finally, I guess in my role, just need to clarify some health and safety kaupapa. Nō reira, if we should be required to, the exits are out towards the left and out here, or to the right. The gathering spaces are the grass outside the front, or the car park out here just away from the building. Our wharepaku are through, just on the left, through where you came through. We have disability wharepaku, ka noho motuhake, but also each of the toilets has disabled access stalls there, and toilets are here and upstairs. We do have some safety officers available, so if you do require any assistance, just please send me a signal and we'll respond to that. Koe rā noiho, he whare auahi kore, obviously a non-smoking whare. If that is something you partake in, then please just head out to the car park and keep going. No, I don't mean that. But yeah, just ki waho nā, just away from the whare, please, with respect. Tēnā tātou. And so finally, just in terms of introduction, just a bit of an overview of our proceedings. The whānau have asked me to read a narrative which covers much of Wiki's earlier life. In many ways, the kaupapa that our designated speakers will be speaking to are more recent, and indeed are probably what the award is particularly associated with. However, I know from the whānau's perspective there is a strong connectedness with her roots, with her whānau, and with her attributes that were appearing when she was younger to the success that we're all celebrating today. So this narrative is on behalf of the whānau. And initially, he reo tēnei, he kōrero tēnei mō tātou katoa. So on behalf of the whānau, they would like to thank everyone for being here today and helping them to celebrate Wiki's success in the mahi that she did. Although they are sad, terribly sad, that Wiki isn't present with us today, and she's been gone for well over a year now. Today is about honouring Wiki. As a whānau, they continue to process their loss as best you can. and still miss Wiki terribly. While Wiki is not here with us physically, we are certain she is with us spiritually, and we'll be proud as punch that she's being recognised for her outstanding achievements, and we can hear her woohoo, she's a woohooer, at the top of her lungs right now. So with that spirit opening our space, I'm now going to share about young Wiki, younger Wiki, because even towards the end she had such a young spirit that she held. So Wiki Michelle was born in Pahiatua on November the 30th, 1977, to Beverly and Graham Moulton. Her parents lived in nearby Woodville, where she attended the local primary school with her older sister, Rachel. It was within the wider Tararua district where Beverly and Graham's whānau lived, including Ikitahuna, Kuno, Mākuri, Woodville and Dannyvirk, with Graham's parents Hazel and Dave Moulton. Living in Pahiatua, and Beverly's parents, Molly and Rex Christensen, living in Mangatainuka. It was through Molly and then Beverly that Wiki was from Ngāti Kahungunu. In particular, Wiki had strong links to the marae of Rākau Tātahi in the Takapau Plains and Kahuranaki at Te Hauke. Wiki was very close to her grandfathers. Rex Christensen, affectionately called Fathers by his whānau, was the local grader driver, and as his surname suggests, from which Wiki gained her Scandinavian whakapapa. His love of books and reading rubbed off on Wiki as she became an avid bookworm. Dave Moulton was a dog control handler for the local council, as well as an ambulance driver cum orderly for the Pahiatua Hospital. He was a socialite who would give the shirt off his back if he thought you needed it. Wiki's love of people and social justice would come from her time spent with Grandad Moulton. In 1983, with younger brother Richard, now also in tow, Beverly and Graham left Woodville to take ownership of the Hastings Central Dairy that was opposite Hastings Central Primary, where Wiki would complete her primary schooling. Wiki then attended Hastings Intermediate, where she encountered Mrs. Arthur, who told her that her handwriting was excellent. Now, as Wiki explained, this little bit of encouragement grew inside her, and she wanted to keep pleasing her and getting that praise and affirmation. From that moment, she expressed that it felt unstoppable. I could do anything and be the best. The funny thing was that most things I tried, this is actually what happened. So then heading into Form 2, Wiki was in the bilingual class where she found she enjoyed te reo Māori and picked it up easily and was called upon to speak in front of people. Such speeches were delivered in her capacity as a Hastings Junior District Councillor. Also during her intermediate years, she developed a lifelong friendship with Israel Tangaroa Birch. Hastings Girls High was where Wiki embarked on her secondary education. Being at the top of her classes in all subjects, Wiki would win numerous awards, competitions and scholarships. Remarked Wiki, people were starting to notice me and wanted me to be involved in different aspects in the community, from women's meetings through to political parties. Wiki's closest friend at high school was Kelly Bradley, who she kept in touch with for the rest of her life. By fourth form, Wiki was the student representative on the Board of Trustees, and Wiki's speaking ability was recognised in 1994 when she won the Korimako section for senior English at the Ngā Manu Kōrero competition. Wiki, also the chairperson of the SAD, or Students Against Dangerous Driving Committee at Hastings Girls High School, spoke on the topic of drink driving. It was a subject she could personally relate to as she spoke of the death of her uncle Brian and the deaths of two of her friends at the hands of drunk drivers. That year, Wiki also attended Youth Parliament as the MP for Hastings, where she spoke on the subjects of unemployment, graffiti and street violence, road deaths, suicide, alcohol and drug abuse, kids left unattended, and the need for education on contraception due to the high rate of teen pregnancy. It was at Youth Parliament that Wiki would meet another close and lifelong friend, Darren Hughes. They kept in touch by writing letters until Wiki studied with Darren at Ware House at Victoria University. Wiki was very proud of Darren when he was elected the Member of Parliament for Otaki. Also, in 1994, Ashley Wainer was born to Trent Wainer and Wiki's cousin, Cecily Leaf. Wiki, along with other members of her whānau, became surrogate parents to Ashley, and he stayed most weekends. Wiki was proud of her mother-like role to Ashley and counted down the number of sleeps before she would see him when she was at university. Ashley reciprocated the love Wiki had for him, often saying to Malcolm, "That's my Wiki." In her final year at Hastings Girls High in 1995, Wiki was announced as the head girl. Again, Wiki was a winner in the koremako section of Ngā Manu Kōrero, whose subject being the dignity of women. The principal of the school, Jill Davidson, commented at the end of the year that Wiki is an extremely aware and responsible young woman who believes strongly in fairness and justice. She displays a very caring attitude towards others and has a generous and accepting manner, which makes her very approachable. She has excellent speaking skills and is extremely adaptable in any situation that may arise. Wiki has outstanding research qualities, she has great organisational skills, is forthright, honest, and has the ability to make decisions when under pressure, which I think encapsulates her beautifully. Wiki then left Hawke's Bay for Wellington, where she attended Victoria University, having gained a scholarship to Ware House. It was here that she would develop a close relationship with Nadia Ward, who she would eventually flat with. Nadia's memories of Wiki during this time were that she had an amazing ability to connect with people from all walks of life, rich and poor, Pākehā and Māori. Wiki herself noted that her time at Victoria University was also about developing her identity more, most likely a reference to her involvement in Māori student politics, where she was on the executive of Ngāi Tauira, the Māori Student Association in 1996 and 1997, and was elected the Tumuaki president in 1998. Wiki also was the life of the party at varsity and could be found dancing to the loud music of David Bowie or Renee Gear. It would be through her time in student politics that she would meet the co-president of Te Akatuki, the Māori Student Association of the University of Canterbury, Malcolm Mulholland, where a love would grow that found themselves married 2 years later in 2000. Once Wiki had graduated, she returned home with Malcolm and she ran for the Hastings District Council, aged only 20. At the time, Wiki's running for the local council at such a young age was a record, and she narrowly missed becoming a councillor. Another aspect of Wiki's life that was not well known was that she held a number of qualifications. Not only did she have a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, but she also held a certificate in Te Ara Reo and a postgraduate diploma of teaching secondary. And that resulted in her teaching Te Reo Māori at Palmerston North Girls High School in 2006. Wiki also had a strong interest in social work, no doubt due to her mother, and then father working for child, youth and family. With her interest in that field, Wiki held a certificate in counselling theory and a national diploma of social work level 6. When Wiki was employed at the Department of Internal Affairs, Wiki gained certificates in management and in business management. Wiki was also a qualified organ pianist, having reached grade 5 honours in 1994. Equipped with her degree in politics, a deep sense of social justice, a comfortable familiarity of her taha Māori and a zest for life, Wiki was about to embark on the next phase of her life with Malcolm at a number of jobs that were heavily located in the communities in which she lived. That now brings us to our speakers for today, who will each speak about their involvement with Wiki and the impact she had on them and their communities. Nō reira, ai tēnei wā, ka hoatoa no te rākau ki a koe wiremu, kōrua ko Trieste, te haramai te kōrero moetahi o nā mahi. I mahi anea koutou, me Wiki, ai pāna ki o koutou nei marae, me rātu kaupapa o te iwi. Nō reira, haramai kōrua, haramai.
Tēnā koutou katoa. First of all, I must acknowledge our beautiful Wiki that we carry in our hearts, always. And Malcolm, ups to you. Keep going there. And all your whānau. Lovely to see you all here today. I just want to, first of all, Wiki was a puti. She was just so... wherever we went with her, she was the blossom. She was the singer, and she was the one who go, do you want a drink? She was just amazing. But one thing that I want to talk about, Wiki took, where I come from, the Wanganui awa, she took us up the awa. And up there she wanted to go and see o te marae and talk to them about what internal affairs could do for them, for their marae. And that was really amazing. And we took, she took with her Maggie May, who is here, Tracy, Billy, you're here. And I think that's the new Plymouth office that came with us. And Adrian Darragh. These are just some of the names that we got involved with because of Wiki. And if anybody we became in her office, part of the office, because we're always there with her, asking her what are we going to do, how we're going to do it, to help us with our marae, ours especially. But I'll let Wiremu talk about that. National Office, I think Adrian was from National Office, the Marae Heritage. Uncle Tiki, and I remembered Uncle Tiki, he's not here with us today. And Mike Nathan, James, and it's lovely to see, where is he? Forgotten. Oh. Nathan. You're here, Nathan, aren't you? See what Wiki does to us, shows us all these people and we forget them when we get older. Amazing. What can I say about Wiki? All I can say, she was the most amazing lady that I've ever met. For the simple reason she loved her Māori, she loved her people, she loved her marae, and she helped us at Rangiotu, Te Rangi Māori e Marae. Everything that we've got there is due to Wiki. And I can't speak more highly than that. But she did it in love, she did it in passion, she did it with compassion, and she did it because she loved people. That's how she was. And that comes out with her whānau, and her beautiful daughter here. It comes out through them when they see you, and her sisters, her mum and dad. You know who I mean. Half the time I don't know what to say when you know somebody and they're not here with us. So kia ora koutou. Lovely to see you all here today. Ngā mihi.
O tērā, ko tēnei he wāhi tukuna he mihi kia koutou katoa. Ko tae mai ki raro te whakaruru hau o tēnei whare, te whare kei te tata o te marae o hene, huri no kia koutou kia koe e Todd, anā he tino mihi, hei tauwhera tā tātou, kaupapa tēnei ata. Hoi anō kia koe te pānau, tino mihi kia koutou Malcolm, kore he kupu mau, mō te pānau katoa ko tae mai, tino mihi māhana mō tēnei kaupapa whakahirahira mō tēnei tangata. He wāhine tino atāhua, he wāhine toa, he wāhine he tino kaupapa Māori. O tira, tino mihi māhana kia koutou. Dad and I were just discussing on who was going to speak on which part of what we were going to talk on, with all this amazing staff that we have had the pleasure of working with Wiki. I'm going to be a little bit cheeky and I'm going to talk about some of the amazing times we had, Maggie, Nathan, within your, I was going to say department, I suppose it is a department. Is Reese here? No, Department of Internal Affairs, yes. where I learnt what community development was. So a little bit later, Dad's going to talk about all the funding that we did and all the amazing stuff that we got to achieve at Te Rangi Māori, and for those who have been out there can actually see the impact of our connection with Wiki through actually just the facilities out there, and because that was her. And she empowered probably me. I'm going to say young. We're going to go with that because I'm much younger than Mum and Dad. And I think I was older than Wiki, actually, to be fair. I am older than her. But back in the day, she kind of brought me along and she said to me, right, Noa, in this organisation, it's all Pākehā. So we need to marry up our words, our Māori words and our Māori kaupapa that looks like it's written in Pākehā. And I'm like looking at her going, okay. Like Peter's looking at me thinking, yes, Noa, and I remember your reports. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Wiki, yep. So what does this look like? Well, this is what it looks like. And so I was just like, okay, let's do this. And so her and I would sit there and we started writing out what these applications for Te Rangi Māori would look like, how we impacted our community. And I started to realise that a marae, although you have your whānau, hapu and iwi, really has a community connection. And she started being able to open up my eyes to show how within a Pākehā concept, our Māori concepts kind of align, and how we can open up the marae to benefit all of those within our area. So we started writing these, and she'd say, no. Whakawhanaungatanga looks like this, but don't put whakawhana, you put it like this, and then you're going to expand it. Okay, we're going to expand it. And I was just like, oh, okay, Wiki. So we did these amazing things, and Maggie will tell you, I used to sit in there, I had this thing for stationery, and I used to love their stationery cupboard. And I would go in there and I'd tease them about how this would be my favourite team to sit in, and my team over in council was a window away and I could throw something, and I was trying to figure out how we could connect them. Sorry, Peter, I was just, But I just wanted to kind of highlight the actual person behind the mahi, because her heart and her ngākau were for her people. And we were part of her people, and we became part of her whānau, and she became part of ours. And I remember, and she was going through treatment right at the end there, and I think I had a report, and I think I've still got another report outstanding, haven't I, Maggie? Yes, that I've got to get done, and I'll do that after this. And I think she'd got sent home, Malcolm, and I think you came there, and I think the kids were there, the boys were at school, and I think you were there, babe. And I had to come in with her, and she'd just finished. She was so tired, and we had, I think, 11 would have been. We'd have to have it in by 11 p.m. I think at night. So I came around to your house, and I'd have to sit there, and we'd have to go through all of these things, because we had a bit of a time with Internal Affairs. They didn't really like us very much. They ended up loving us at the end. They had no choice. Wiki made sure. But at the end of that time, and with how sick she was, she never lost focus on how to help people and how to help us at Rangi Māori, but how to help us achieve our aspirations of who we were. So I just wanted to share that with you, because there's a lot that Wiki gave endlessly and freely, and without seamlessly knowing it. I think my dad's trying to hurry me up here. Moved us into a really great place to where we are. So without further ado, I will hand it over. I will allow my dad. Do you like that? I will allow my dad to come to the, he's going to kick me out soon, he's going to start singing, to the microphone and finish us off. O tira, tino mihi, Malcolm, thank you. Thank you for having this occasion that we can actually celebrate our Wiki, because she is our Wiki.
Let me tell you a couple of stories. Hi, when you were playing rugby, my moko, when he was playing rugby, there'd be no one on his side, Wiki on the other side of the field. It got embarrassing, Malcolm? We'd have to walk away because players, go here. Next minute, no one's going,
Yeah, but we loved each other.
they're like foghorns. It was embarrassing. We'd walk away. Just a couple of things. Billy boy, good to see you. And bro, good to see all the crew. We have are you guys listening? We had the number 1 office in the country. Number 1. And that was thanks to Wiki and Maggie Maynos, all those ones that worked behind the scenes. But we made things happen. We broke rules, which was, take a look at Wiki. You can see mischief all over her face. And but we did some great things together, and we were able to move. Why? Because she was inside the system. She had great people like you guys to help her through. The mayor, and you always often hear me say this: out of relationship comes partnership. And we're very fortunate. We have a very good relationship with the mayor. We have a very good relationship with council, and we also have a very good relationship. You heard what the Prime Minister said about Rangatania, known as the kind iwi. You like that? Yeah, I thought you liked that. Anyway, great to see you guys. Great to see Maggie May. Oh, I must tell you this. When we got the hall for $1 from Ian McKelvey, and I got a receipt, because I didn't want the Parkies coming along in 100 years' time wanting the hall back. So I got my receipt for $1 off the mayor. But he forgot to tell me it was 45,000 a shift today. That's where Maggie came in. But with that, I can't speak highly enough of your family and when you rededicated your marriage again and cheers to the ceremony, it was an honour to be asked. So you guys, you got a wonderful mum, but she's in you guys too. So with that, we'll just end on how we've been on. My daughter. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko wai tau ingo wai, ka we ai koe o mātua ki te wai tuai, māku e tapa tu I te ingo wā o tō tupuna whakaiwa I te rangi hine noho mai hine roto I te whare tai whetoki I te whare no tuarangi ka plato e tāne he tope Ana toko ia toko hiri nuku ia toko hiri nani ki ara koutu ki ara kouko ki ngā toko e hine toko nai te rangi runga nei Rere te mara o te au whiorangi topi tēnai tope ai ngā naru ki te tangata ngā waira e mau e ki atu na te pāhuri pau. Ngā pau titi ngā pau tahai ngā pau kōrero ngā tautaringa I tiki ki roto whare kura e hine e. Just as well, Koro's in good condition to be able to keep up. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, and God bless you all.
Oh, tēnā rā koutou, mo ira kōrero I whakatairanga ki te tuahine, although Wuramu and no one giving away a few too many secrets about funding there. You're supposed to keep those to yourself. But nā kei te pai. Mihi nui kia koutou. Now I'm going to pass the rākau to our current mayor, Grant Smith. And I'll just acknowledge as Grant's coming up to the dais that in about half an hour he will be leaving to the airport to catch a flight to China. So. And to represent the city in that space. So Wiki has done a great job at aligning everyone's calendars, including this particular one. So I'll pass on to Grant now. Ngā mihi nui ki a koe te kaika.
Kia ora, Todd. Wiramu, I just got a call from Ian. He wants the hall back. Kia ora tātou, nau mai, haere mai, and look, thank you, and can I acknowledge you, Malcolm, and the whānau. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words, which is really a celebration of Wiki's service. And could I acknowledge Trieste and Wiramu and a young Noain. Everywhere I go, I follow them. I literally do. But we're blessed to have the Te Awiawis in our rohi, and thank you for your blessing. Look, again, just a celebration of Wiki's service. I know Malcolm better than I did Wiki, but I know the work, and it was lovely to hear her younger life, and I'm glad she didn't stand for mayor here. She might have been a bit before her time in Hastings, but certainly she had some political DNA there, and I'm sure if she'd gone further, she would have certainly ended up on our council doing something in that space. Today is really around celebrating her, and from a city perspective, what she did for our city, for our people, and you've heard a touch of what she did with the DIA and at Rangiotu, and I've seen that so many times firsthand. Therese spoke about, and so did Noain, about seeing what can be done when people come together and connect together really well. And it's been a fantastic relationship there, and led by Wiki on behalf of the Department of Internal Affairs. I think it's so special that this medal will be conferred soon. And again, to the family, the whānau, you should be very, very proud of your mum and what she's done. And on behalf of the city, we just want to acknowledge her. Kia ora tātou. Thank you.
Tēnā koe, Grant, thank you. And I'll also acknowledge two of our previous mayors who I know Heather Tangay is online from up in Auckland, and John O'Naylor, I believe, is as well. So he mihi nui kia korua, koutou katoa, tātou e te kaunihira. Now my pleasure to invite Stella Morgan to speak from Hastings District Council, and also a connection to Sage Planning HB Limited, to share some of her experiences with Wiki.
Tēnā koutou katoa, and kia ora to the Moulton and the Mulholland family. Thank you so much, Malcolm, for the opportunity to speak to Wiki's early career. It seems like only yesterday that Wiki took me to her mum and dad's house just off Southland Road to see her beautiful wedding dress with that beautiful kowhaiwhai panel down the front, and then to her first home with Malcolm and that they purchased in Lyle Place. And I just remember it having a huge, massive TV. And not too long after the arrival of Molly Rose, who was really the heart of Wiki in those days when I knew her. My name's Stella Morgan, and I was the manager at the Hastings District Council for their community development team from the late 90s to 2004. And I interviewed Wiki for the newly created role of youth coordinator in or around, I think it might have been 98, I'm not quite sure of the dates. Wiki was fresh out of uni, so around about 20 years old, and it was very interesting to me to hear her journey through university because it made so much sense in terms of the young woman that I knew. As I remember it, she walked into that interview, she looked us all straight in the eye, sort of stood there, and she just said to us, "Thank you for creating this job for me." That was it. She very quickly convinced us that she was the person we needed. And she was absolutely right. She was a valuable and much-loved team member for her political astuteness, her sass, her absolute dedication to her hometown of Hastings, her laugh, and her incredible ability to just include everyone, empower and make a difference. She had a really strong sense of justice, which I can completely see where that came from now, but she didn't judge. And so she was very generous with how she took people along on the journey with her. When Malcolm first asked me to talk today, my actual overwhelming reflection was not so much about what Wiki had achieved, but rather what she'd taught me. An example of that, I was in my first management role at that stage, and one day she came into my office and she said to me, "You know, Stel, it's pretty challenging being a Māori, a young Māori, a Māori wahine, working in a mainstream organisation like council." And that was such a big lesson to me that day, and it was, it kind of took a little bit of something off my eyes, or opened my eyes, I should say, and I guess for me, made me curious going forwards about how we needed to do that better if we wanted to attract Māori into council. And what was it that was so hard? As a result of that, I actually did 1 year working for a kaupapa Māori social services organisation, and my main driver for applying for that job was to try and understand what it was like to be in an organisation that was not what I was used to. It was thanks to Wiki and her young Māori peers that Council's first Te Reo lessons for staff started, and many other initiatives were started at Council which still continue today. And moving on to some of her achievements in her time there, which were many, so these are just a few of the key ones. She was a key person in the setting up of 2 really big ticket council-funded youth facilities at the time, which represented a step forward for Hastings Council at that time to working with young people. So firstly, the Atomic Youth Centre in Hastings, which at the time was a state-of-the-art music, sports and hangout space, which also included a youth health service, which was very much down to Wiki's mahi in that space. And the other one was a new skate facility in Flaxmere, which I have to say Wiki had such a soft spot for Flaxmere. She used to drive round in the council car and pick up any stray kids that were wandering the street and shouldn't have been at school, and take them down to the fish and chip shop, feed them up, and then come back and say, "Oh, now I need some money." She didn't have much of a budget. I know that was a huge frustration. Council got the role in place but didn't really have a budget, so she was very good at just making things happen, and got a budget as time went on. She worked tirelessly with rangatahi on these initiatives to ensure that their voice was heard, not in only the way that they were in the way that they were designed, which was quite progressive back then for council, to include the users in the early design phase, but then in the ongoing management and operations of these spaces. Another key part of Wiki's role was to run the Youth Council, which she had been part of, and it had been operating for a number of years. When Wiki came on board, she shook things up a bit, and she got each youth councillor buddied up with an elected councillor, and that worked really well. Certainly I know the councillors loved it, and a good experience for the rangatahi. And this no doubt was informed by her time on the New Zealand Youth Council when she was still at school. She managed to get Laila Hare, the then Minister for Youth, to visit Hastings and to discuss ideas with the Youth Council. Even at that stage of her life, Wiki was very well connected politically and was one of the movers and shakers. In preparing for today, I reached out to some of Wiki's colleagues from that time, and I've got words from 2 of them that I would like to share. Firstly, Charles Ropatini, then Youth Councillor, and now back in Hastings again working for Council as Po Ahurea, Principal Māori Advisor. So this is from Charles. Wiki is an influential person in my life, commencing from when I joined the Hastings Youth Council. Wiki was passionate about youth development and seeing young people succeed. She was very keen to see the Youth Council was respected and heard within the framework of council. She taught me to write formal reports, sounds like she did that for a few people, and to work with the Youth Council to put forward recommendations for change to happen. And the major recommendation accepted when I was on the Youth Council was to establish the Youth Centre on St Albans Street. Wiki did all this as a young mum, and I admired how she was able to do that. Secondly, to finish with some words from Lena Henry, her co-worker and friend, now lecturing at Auckland University and studying for her PhD. I met Wiki in the late 90s when I was employed as iwi liaison officer at Hastings District Council. Wiki was well known in Hastings as one of the few Māori professionals working at council. There were very few of us working in lead positions, so we developed our own informal network and supported each other in our respective roles. Wiki was more than a colleague. She was a friend who treated my son Taupuhi and I as whānau. If you were a friend of Wiki, you knew her family was everything, and Molly Rose was her heart. She did tell us even then that Molly Rose would have more siblings, and so I'm so glad that Wiki was able to have the family she wanted. She was able to advocate for vulnerable communities and amplify the voice of rangatahi. Her aroha for people, intellect and political acumen skills ensured she achieved whatever she put her mind to. There were a crew of us who were close friends working at Hastings District Council: Andrea Robin, Audrey Robin, Barb Dixon, Bill Jones and May. We were all younger then and had lots of energy and ideas about how we could fix all the issues confronting iwi, Māori and vulnerable communities, if only the managers and elected politicians would listen to us. At one stage we even talked about Wiki for mayor. We miss her immensely. We miss sitting around the fire at Andrea's and Bill's eating lamb's tails and having drinks. And we miss going to Billy's bar to listen to Wiki and Rachel sing on karaoke night. To keep Wiki's memory alive, we can continue to do the mahi she was passionate about, and in the words of Tahimi Hinare, kua tawhiti kei te haerenga mai, kia kore e haere tonu. He tino nui rawa o mahi, kia kore e mahi tonu. We have come too far not to go further. We have done too much not to do more. Ka momahara tonu tātou ki a koe e Wiki. We won't forget you, our dear friend. Kia ora.
Tēnā koe, Stella. Tēnā koe I whakamaramiha mai. Tērā wahana ona mahi tauawa, me te whakaoho anō I nā kāre o roto, pāna ki te maimaharei o tātou tuahine. And it's now my pleasure to introduce to the stage Anne Carter. Mā ngai, ki ngā mahi o Wiki me te manatū whakahiato Taiohi, the Ministry of Youth Development and the New Zealand Youth Council. Nō reira, haramaira.
Nā mihi nui kia koutou katoa, mana whenua, tēnā koutou. The Moulton and Mulholland whānau, tēnā koutou. Hapu iwi hapuri who stood alongside Wiki, her colleagues and friends, government agencies, everyone here today and online, tēnā koutou katoa. It is a privilege to be asked by Malcolm to say a few words at this event to honour and recognise Wiki's service and contribution to Aotearoa New Zealand and the public service. So I first met Wiki in about the year 2000. So I was the Chief Executive of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, and she was a member of the Prime Minister's Youth Advisory Group, representing her peers, giving advice to the Prime Minister on issues for young people and helping shape the government's policy youth agenda. So my memories of that time, of our meetings with Wiki, was she would turn up with Molly Rose. She'd hand Molly Rose over to me, which actually was a bit of a worry, Molly Rose, sorry. And I would have to hold Molly Rose while I chaired the meeting. But Wiki would sit at the table and share her infinite wisdom. So she was confident in who she was, in touch with her peers and communities, and when she spoke, people listened. She was positive, fun, and forward-looking. So at this time, she was also New Zealand's youth representative to the Commonwealth Youth Programme. So this meant that Wiki and I got to share a number of overseas trips into the Pacific, so Fiji, Nauru, the Solomon Islands, and Australia. So Wiki and I had an understanding that what happens on tour stays on tour. But as you can imagine, a whole lot of young people together, overseas, away from home, yes, a few parties, some all night. So like every young person, I think as we've already seen, Wiki loved to party. However, she never let New Zealand down, and she never let me down. So at the start of every day, I would bowl into the conference room for the Commonwealth meeting. Wiki would already be there, behind the New Zealand flag, behind our little Kiwi sign, ready to engage and contribute, sleep or no sleep. So in her early 20s, Wiki's public service had already extended well beyond Aotearoa, as she supported others in the Commonwealth whānau, sharing her knowledge and expertise. She was highly respected by her peers, particularly in the Pacific, and had this amazing ability to connect with other Indigenous young people and the many different nationalities that comprise the Commonwealth. So our trip to Honiara in the Solomons with the Minister of Youth Affairs at the time, the Honourable Laila Hari, was probably the most memorable. It was just damn scary. So the Commonwealth Ministers' meeting was held at a time of civil unrest. Such was the concern of the New Zealand government that they sent the diplomatic protection squad to protect the minister, not me and Wiki, but to protect the minister. There were different factions, but essentially they'd called a truce to allow this meeting to go ahead for 5 days. So we were kind of like, I would describe it as a lockdown. We could move freely within Honiara, but we could not go any further. So there were armed blockades stopping us from going around the island. So Wiki seemed to take this all in her stride. She was definitely a lot more chilled about it than I was. I don't think her whānau at home were actually that chilled about it, but because actually I think a requirement of Wiki going was that we had to room together, which was actually pretty cool. So she certainly got out and visited some of the villages within Honiara, and I don't know if she told her whānau this, but she came back one evening and she said to me, I've been out to the outskirts where the armed blockades are, and I've just, checked out the young men with their arms. So, so that was Wiki. She was out there talking to the young people. So my overwhelming memory of Wiki's service was one of insightfulness, real practical experience, hard work, and at that time, which is it was 23 years ago, she had maturity way beyond her years and humility. She would tell me about her work at the Hastings District Council, and she would make it sound like it was no big deal. A skate park here, an art project there with some young people, and then I would find out, as we've just heard, these were really, really big initiatives that she was coordinating and had a massive positive impact on her community. So Wiki later joined the Ministry of Youth Affairs, and we were lucky to have her on the team. She was a natural leader, and she could have had any career she wanted, including political. But she chose public service, for which I am truly grateful and honoured to be here today to celebrate and acknowledge that service with you all. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Thank you, Anne. It's been very touching, the sharing this afternoon. The presence of Wiki in your life at a personal, at a professional level reflects the heart and the mind of Wiki, and that she that journey that's often talked about, it can be the longest one for her. It seemed like they were very much intertwined in the way she was with us in the world. I'd now like to introduce Siobhan Marshall and Ramari Te Ua Mairangi from the Community-Led Development Trust. Haramai koro. Koutou.
Kia ora everybody. This is Ramari here, but she said I might get a bit overwhelmed, so can Nihi speak on my behalf. So slight change to the schedule, but all the whānau's here. Kia ora tātou. Ko Siobhan Marshall tōku ingoa, kei te noho au ki Wanganui River. Kia ora. I'm the chairperson of the TCLD Trust. Humble, dedicated, hard-working, inspiring, mana wahine. These are just some of the words that come to mind, and I'm sure you all here would have heaps more to describe our Wiki. We had the privilege of working alongside Wiki whilst she was the Community Liaison Officer with the Department of Internal Affairs from 2017 to 2021. We had partnered up with DIA to run a community-led development program in our small, rural, isolated community on the middle reaches of the Wanganui River. At the time, we were just 6 people, keen to see some real progress in our slice of paradise up the Wanganui Awa. We established TCLD Trust in 2018, and in 2020 we gained charitable status. Wiki helped us achieve many successful projects along the river, some of which were a bus shelter in Matahiwi, a recycling trailer, community movie nights, an emergency management program, and road speed bumps, just to name a few. The emergency management program for us was a pilot which started with a large generator being placed at Pipiriki Marae. As at today, there have been 8 other generators placed at various marae along the Awa, and this means during times of severe weather events, there will always be a central place in our communities with power and running water and emergency services. If that's not impact, I don't know what is. Hey guys. There is no doubt in my mind that Wiki was a crucial person in our success to date. Her passion, her integrity, her honesty, and I've said it many times, her ability to listen and understand where we were coming from meant that we could move forward. Her ability to empower those around her is what helped us navigate through a few tough times any new community organisation can run up against the early stages. These days we hear the words transformational change bandied around in the community development space, and I truly believe that Wiki has helped us to be the catalyst to starting this transformational change that they speak of. I just want to share a little story. So up the river, I think it was back in 2019, my good friend Tiara, who sends her apologies, she wished she could be here, but she couldn't. But she was running some community training programs along the Awa, and we were picking lemons. She had a cold, and we went to this property, and there was an old decrepit, rundown house, and we're picking lemons, and we're looking around us, and we were talking about the lack of options there were along the Awa with regards to community spaces. Yes, of course, there are marae all along the Awa, but there wasn't one central place for everybody. And we got to talking about all the wonderful things that having a space like this could be. And on March the 4th,
And this year, in 2022, we opened the River Valley Community Hub. So essentially, it's a completely refurbished house that is a training facility, a health facility, a place for kaumātua to gather, a civil defence hub, and it also houses a small community library, aptly named Wiki's Library. So this is a place for everyone. Everyone, if you live on the awa, this is your space, and it's the first of its kind. Wiki was there when we started this vision. She helped us to make it happen, and she has been a crucial and important part of our journey this far. And I would like to invite you all, if ever you're up the awa, you track me down. It's just down from my house, and I would love to take you for a tour, especially our whānau over here who didn't make it to the opening, so it's always open for you guys. So, Wiki served our community in more ways than one, and we will honour her commitment to the people of the Wanganui Awa by continuing the work that we do as a trust. She will always be spoken of in the highest regard and remembered with love and respect. Kia ora.
Bit embarrassing seeing myself 50 years ago alongside Wiki. Ka tia kira tēnā tātou. E ngā rangatira. Ko tōku ingoa ko nehi hoia. I whānau mai au ki te tai rāwhiti. I tipu ake ai au ki roto i te whānau a rua taupare ki Tokomaru Bay. Ka raina tuarua au ki Gisborne Boys High. Ngari I te tau 1974, I hare mai au mai tūranga nui. Ki papa I oia, ki pāmutana. Kuhu atu au ki roto I te whare takiura o konei. Ki te whai atu I te tohu whakaako tamariki I roto I ngā kura tuatahi. Nō reira rangi tāne mana, e tū, rangi tāne tangata, mihi mai, karanga mai, tēnā koutou. Nō reira, I te tau 1974 I tīmata au ki konei, I te whare takiura, waimari e mātou I taua wā I tīmata tētahi tangata ko tōna ingoa ko John Tapiata. Ki te kore ia, ko te nuinga o mātou, kare kore put atu me a mātou tohu, nā runga I te mōhiotanga o John, o JT, ki te āwhina mai I a mātou. E tōru tau, I mutu au, I put atu au I te whare takiura, te tau 1976, 77, 78, 79, whakaako au I te kura takawainga o Monred. Te tau 1980, whakawhiti atu au ki roto I te Āteo Nui a Pāpārangi, ki Whanganui, ki reiro whakaako tamariki ai. Mai I taua wā, 1980, taino mai ki tēnei rā, ki tēnei wā, ki tēnei miniti. Kei Whanganui tōnu au e noho ana e mahi ana. Nō reira, taku tūtaki tuatahi atu, tūtaki tanga tuatahi atu ki a Wiki, ko tētahi o oku tēnu hoa, ko Ron Huff, no Hiru Harama, no Pāti Arero. I waia mai ia ki au, ki te pātai mai ki au, kei taha koe I tēnei rā. Kei tahara mai tētahi tira, mai I te tari tai whenua, ki te marae, te rānei, ka taia koe te hara mai, ki te whakarongo ki ngā kōrero. Nō reira I tai atina nā atu ki te taha o te rangatira rā, Ron. Noho anau ki tana taha, I eke mai te tira, ko Wiki tētahi. I taua rā, ko Maggie, ko Billy, me te pāpa nei, tō rātou kaumātua. No, kei te noho tonu i roto te māhunga nei, te whatumanua nei. I taua rā, ko rā te rā tuatahi i tūtaki atu au kia Wiki. Tēnā pē me huri au ki tērā o ngā reo. I was privileged enough to meet Wiki when she came onto the Jerusalem marae a few years ago now. And Ron Huff posed the question, what's the purpose of your visit today? The Department of Internal Affairs and all the other government agencies and departments of that time, a few years ago now, have done zilch for us on the river. So is there any purpose in the visit today? Well, what a difference now. What a difference. She took up that challenge. And we only have love and praise for her now. Wiki was kind, caring, giving, loving, dedicated to the people. She treasured her family. Malcolm was her soulmate. Her children were her pride and joy. And to even have time with her moko before she passed, I know she was just so overjoyed and happy. What we needed from Wiki is a trust and wanting to make a difference for our people in the river was someone who thought outside the square. We didn't want the same old, same old. That was Wiki. She never said no to anything that our team brought up. We want to do it this way or do it that way, and becoming one of the partners of the community-led development program, one of the initial partners. She never said no to us. I need to think about that. I'll need to talk to some people. That was the type of relationship we had with her. This person I got behind me, Darren, thinks totally different to how most people do. So there was always an easy fit with Wiki. I always laugh about that photo, the rose between two thorns. She was true to her word. And others have talked about her social conscience and drive for justice and so on. She knew government agencies had resources and means to make a difference. The barrier, the most challenging barrier, were the policies and the people who applied them. And that's what Wiki would work at. Government agencies continue to work in isolation, silos. Wiki tried to pull them together. A little bit of something is better than nothing. That was that person. Her thinking matched ours in making a difference on the ground and amongst the people who mattered most. That was Wiki. So I don't have much more to say, Malcolm, family. we were blessed to have Wiki 5, 6 years ago, and our team has grown a bit, still continuing to remember the wonderful things she did for us, helped us to achieve. She thought the voices of the people were the most important thing to hear, and to empower them to determine their own destination was important to her. Rose between two thorns. So she was a blessing to us. You know, I just to finish, so I've seen everyone get up today, and I thought I was the most important person in her life, apart from Malcolm and her children and Moko. I thought I was it. Then I see all these people stand up and bring up these great memories, loving memories. Because I used to ring at all hours of the day and night. And Malcolm, that's why I thought I was extra special. Of course she would answer. Didn't matter where she was. So she had the biggest heart, sharpest mind. Biggest heart, sharpest mind. And she always followed through on what she said she was going to do. So her memory lives on within all of us and the whole of the river. I go back to that, what's the point of you coming up many years ago? And what we have achieved and what we still have to achieve because she was there that day. Yeah, nō reira tēnā tātou. Ngā mihi.
Tēnā koe, tēnā koutou. Just to finish off before we sing our waiata, I'd just like to, I guess, leave a few words. Wiki, it was no coincidence that she was placed to work with us on the awa. When we started in the community development space, it was challenging, and we needed someone with a big heart, with a sound, intelligent mind, and someone who was willing to stand up to anyone who would try and oppose what we were trying to do. She was all that and more. When she left, when she passed away, we felt her leave this earth, and we know that she was a blessing from our Heavenly Father to help our people. We will be forever grateful for her life and for her family, her beautiful family who supported her, and for all of those of you who acknowledge her today. Thank you, Malcolm, for the opportunity. One of the things that I used to not like doing was public speaking, and Wiki knew that. Sometimes I'd sort of lose the plot and get emotional. She'd just sit there quietly, waiting for me to get myself together. But Wiki, this is for you. We love you very much, and we'll never forget you.
We are Wairua-based people. I want to go and say, please just be with me, quite emotional. Your wife will never be lost to our people. Never be lost. We wakapapa, we kōrero to those who have gone, to give us inspiration, to help us through difficult times. She now joins my people, our people who are past. She is now one of the ones who I kōrero to help me, to help us, to help my people, our people, to navigate this life. That's who she joins now. Our people of the awa are forever grateful to you and your family. So she will never be lost to us. Kia ora.
te oma. Nā koutou I whakatakoto te manuka, nāna noa I whakahiki, I whakapiri nei ai ona hononga kia whenaktia koutou kia whai I nā moimoia, koutou a rātou mā kia pua wai ai, pera I nā kōrero I korohia nei a koutou. He rawe, he rawe. E karema, mohi o tātou, ka pāngia wiki te mate pukupuku, mō nā tau. Wiki had a significant journey with cancer, which ultimately led to losing her life. But also through those years, she was an extremely strong advocate for others on that journey, and in particular for increased access and funding for cancer treatments so they could be more widely available, alongside Malcolm and others. She was part of a significant movement that really elevated that kaupapa to the national stage on a sustained basis, and that continues till today. So there were some incredible results, including since her passing. But these took some time, and even at the time she left us, she was dissatisfied with a number of medicines still beyond the reach of many. And as I said, while there are some announcements more recently where the availability has increased, I'm quite sure she would still be advocating as strong as ever that be broadened. So I'm humbled to introduce at this point Libby Burgess, representing some of those who stood alongside of her. Libby is a māngai for the Breast Cancer Aotearoa Coalition. Nō reira hara mai rā, Libby. Hono mai ai tipurangi nei. Tēnā.
Tēnā tātou katoa. It is, as Anne said, a privilege to have the opportunity to pay tribute to Wiki today, so thank you so much, Malcolm, for that. So as chair of the Te Kotahitanga o Te Mate o Te U, the Breast Cancer Aotearoa Coalition, I was able to witness the power of Wiki's advocacy. So, yes, you might be aware that New Zealanders have very poor access to modern medicines compared to other countries. PHIMAC was established 30 years ago to limit the cost of pharmaceuticals, and successive governments have failed to provide a budget that would allow us to be treated with the innovative medicines that would give us longer, healthier lives. Wiki crashed into that unfortunate reality when she was diagnosed with advanced breast cancer. Her oncologist advised her that, like many other women in her situation, she needed Ibrance. That was a medicine that specifically targeted her subtype of breast cancer. This medicine would give her more time with her beloved whānau, with her soulmate Malcolm, and with her precious tamariki, Molly, Ihaya and Patrick. She could have this treatment if she was able to find many tens of thousands of dollars to pay for it. So looking beyond the challenge and the stress of her personal situation, Wiki was outraged that the government was seemingly comfortable simply looking on while so many needing this medicine were forced to fundraise or go without. This was socio-economic and ethnic inequity in action, and Wiki found this deeply troubling and very motivating. So she hooked up with other women who needed the same treatment and who had started a petition to get it and another breast cancer medicine funded. Wiki became an incredible advocate for the cause, joining petitioners Terry Nicholson and Sue Wall-Cade and others to raise public awareness, to influence politicians and decision makers. Unfortunately, it seems that taking a public platform has become a necessary step in making officials and politicians aware that people are needlessly suffering, that they will make a fuss, and that action is needed. Wiki's passion and her wisdom shone through whenever she told her story to media, to politicians and other audiences. When she and Malcolm turned up on the steps of Parliament, they came with a full busload of supporters, all wearing T-shirts proclaiming their particular relationship to Wiki. Well, that's Wiki's husband down there. So, Wiki's life did matter. And somehow she and Malcolm managed to get pretty much the whole of the Māori caucus to turn up on that day, along with lots of other politicians. Her speech was incredibly moving. She spoke with such clarity of the pain and the burden that so many women were bearing. I'm sure even hardened politicians were moved to tears on that day. The next step was to convince the Health Select Committee that the petition was worthy. And again, Wiki did a stunning job. She was just so articulate, her words so moving. She was frequently interviewed on television, radio, and for the print media, helping a huge number of New Zealanders understand and care about the issues. The Manawatu Standard named Wiki their Person of the Year for the power and the difference that she made through her advocacy. And the medicines that she petitioned for were both funded, which was an amazing and rare achievement. So today I acknowledge and celebrate some of Wiki's qualities that empowered her advocacy and made her such a successful agent for change. Her intelligence. This is shown through in other people's talks. All of these qualities have. She absolutely understood the issues at play and the need for transformation to give New Zealanders access to modern medicines. Her empathy and her humanity. She cared deeply about others who found themselves needing to mortgage their homes, spend their kids' education funds or their life savings, and set up fundraising pages so that they could spend more time with their loved ones. It's such a cruel dilemma. Is my life worth all the hardship and sacrifice the cost of my treatment will bring to my whānau? Her generosity and her courage. Wiki was unwell, tolerating brutal treatments to fight a disease that would end her life. But she didn't retreat from the battle to get Ibrance funded. Her sense of justice and her warrior spirit never faltered. Wiki's advocacy is a fine example of the community service that benefits others now and into the future. She leaves an enduring legacy and is hugely deserving of the honour that will be bestowed on her today. The number of people here, more than a year after her passing, shows her mana and the respect and aroha in which we all still hold her. She will definitely not be forgotten. Moi mai rā, Wiki, wahine toa arohaina. And actually there's a waiata that I haven't sung for 2 years, but she was a woohoo girl. And she deserves this waiata. I hope I remember the words, and please join me, if you can. Mā te kahukura karere te manu, mā ngā huruhuru nei, karere koe, rere rongarawarae, ka tae atu koe ki te taumata, whakatau mai rae, mauna taku aroha, whai ake ki ngā whetū. Rere tō tika, rere pai, rere rongarawarae. Rere tō tika, rere pai, rere rongarawarae. Kia ora koutou.
Mihi ana Libby, thank you for your powerful kōrero and call to stand up for all of us, for our whānau on their cancer journeys. I know Malcolm and the whānau see this movement as a key part of Wiki's ongoing legacy, and they and all of us wish you the best in your ongoing advocacy in this space and the elevation of the stories of our whānau every day. So we are now going to hear about, and we've already heard, bit about that. A very important part of Wiki's life. And this is her work for the Ministry for the Internal Affairs, Te Taritai Whenua. And much of that was just over the road, at the tari over there, where they were. That was a home base for a lot of the work she was involved in. And that was, as we've heard, part of a dedicated, enthusiastic and extremely close team. And Wiki was an exceptional, unflappable and determined flame in that team, fire in that team. And they worked really hard to get significant and positive outcomes through partnership, as Matua said, partnership and investment, not just in resource, but time, heart, mind. Nō reira, I'd like to welcome Claire Tufexis from the Department of Internal Affairs to the Atamira to have a little bit more of a kōrero about her Wiki's contribution in that space. Kia ora, Claire.
Ngā mihi nui ki a koe, Todd. Tēnā koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou e te haukainga. Rangi tānei o Manawatu. Wiramu Trist. Tēnā kōrua. Tēnā koe Malcolm. Rawa ko Molly Rose. Ihaya Patrick. Manaya. Over there. Ngā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa. Ko Claire Tufexis tōku ingoa, ko au te kaiwhakahaere o Hāpai Hāpori, e te Taritai Whenua. Ahi Marie koutou. I'm Claire, General Manager for Hāpai Hāpori, our Community Operations team over at Department of Internal Affairs. And as other speakers have said, it's my honour to be here to speak today about Wiki, who she was and the difference that she made. Wiramu and Trist, the role that you have as part of the department's Te Atamira network is important, but I know that the connection that you had with Wiki was much more than that, and it was much more than about work. So thank you for all that you did to support Wiki and that all that you do to continue to support us. There are a number of people here from the department, a number of people in these photos. Here from the department today, we've got Paul James, our Chief Executive, and Maria Robertson, the Deputy Chief Executive of our Service Delivery team. I don't have so many of the naughty stories, but there are people in this room that will. So over a coffee and a little bit of kai afterwards, you can hunt them out, especially you kids down, about mum. So there's a number of people from the department, past and present, that are here today, and a number of people that couldn't be here that are online. Kia ora e te whānau. So Wiki joined the department in 2006 as a community advisor, obviously based here in Palmerston North. And the role of the community advisor you've heard a lot about today, and is very much about providing advice, support, information, guidance, funding where necessary, into communities hapu, iwi, marae. This support could be related to developing community, social support, infrastructure, guidance, all related to the support for groups to govern and manage for themselves. And you've heard a lot about that support that Wiki offered today. Also connecting with other groups, other agencies where necessary. It's a wide-ranging role, and as you've heard again today, is one that Wiki excelled at. It can be demanding work, and you're working with a whole range of different communities, organisations, iwi, hapu, marae, with a firm eye on supporting them to achieve their aspirations, whatever that might look like, and no one size fits all. The thing about Wiki that stood out was her vibrancy, her intellect. You've heard that today. And as time went on, we were able to appreciate so many more of her gifts and talents as well. She engaged with small neighbourhoods in Dannevirke, multiple panae across Manawatu, Rangatike, Horowhenua, Whanganui, Taumaranui, and as you've heard from the TCLT team, up the Whanganui Awa as well. She worked alongside people from all walks of life and accepted them as they were for who they are. No matter who Wiki worked with, she left them feeling strengthened and confident about achieving their own aspirations, following their path and leading the way for others. When Wiki was diagnosed with cancer, the department got behind her, and that was because she was loved. She was loved, valued, highly respected, insightful, talented and wise, well beyond her years. In Wiki's last 18 months, she took on leadership roles within Hapai Hapori, which helped us to really identify the challenges and the changes that we needed to make within our own services so that we could be more responsive and effective for Māori communities. And again, she excelled in that role. I'd like to finish today with a message for Wiki's whānau. So Malcolm, Molly Rose, Ihaya, Patrick, Manaia, your wife, Mum, Nan, worked really hard and she cared deeply about her work. This meant that she was really busy, and I'm sure you felt that from time to time. Thank you for letting her come and support us at the department and the communities that she served. I want you to know that the work she did with us and with communities, particularly in the last few years, has been instrumental in setting our direction, which is a direction that your mum advocated for a really long time. We've made changes and continue to do so that reflect her leadership, and many times we stop and say to ourselves, what would Wiki say? Wiki enriched our lives. She definitely enriched our mahi, and we're all better for it. And we're all better people for knowing her. Nominating Wiki for this recognition was an easy decision for us, being able to describe how important she was to us and the legacy that she has left in a few words, not so much. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa.
Tēnā koe, Claire, koutou. Te waka e ke noa. Tēnā koutou e kau e tonu mai te wairua me nā mātāpono tō tātou nei tuahine. Tēnā koutou hoki mō koutou awhi i te whāngai hia ki te whakatūngo o tēnei kaupapa. Nē rā te mihi. Hoi anō, tātou, ko tai ki te wā mō tēnei wahanga, te tuku i te tohu rātonga tū Matanui. We are now at the point in the ceremony where the awarding of the Public Service Medal for Wiki will take place. Nō reira, to lead this process, I invite to the stage Paul James, Tūmu Matua, Chief Executive of the Department of Internal Affairs, and Victoria Girling from the Public Services Commission. Tēnā kōrua piki mai, ka ke mai kōrua.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Te whare e tūnei tēnā koe, te papa I waho nei tēnā koe. Te mana whenua rangitāne ki Manawatu, tēnā koutou. Ko ai au, no uri au o Ngāti Raukawa ki te tonga, Ngāti Tūkorehe, Ngāti Pari Waha Waha me te whānau Apanui. Ko Victoria Girling ahau. Ko au te pauwhakahaere o te Hapai Hapori ki te Kawamataho. Victoria Girling, Manager Spirit of Service, Te Kawamataho Public Service Commission. It's my absolute honour and privilege to be here today to celebrate, honour and remember Wiki and her exceptional spirit of service. In 2018, the New Zealand Public Service Medal, Te Tohu Rātonga Tū Matanui o Aotearoa, was established by royal warrant, approved by Queen Elizabeth II. Recipients of the Public Service Medal demonstrate an outstanding commitment to Aotearoa, New Zealand and her people. They are exemplary and serve as a model for other employees of the public service. They bring significant benefit to New Zealand and the public service and are absolutely worthy of recognition. Additionally, recipients demonstrate a spirit of service to the community, and this is about opening their hearts and minds to the needs of others, having an attitude of humility and being motivated by something bigger than themselves. This is absolutely Wiki. I will now read the official citation prepared for Wiki. Thank you, Malcolm. Wiki was a true leader who touched the lives of many with her kindness and dignified presence. No matter the task, she would say, "Leave it with me and I'll get back to you," and she always did. In her time at DIA, Wiki was instrumental in improving te tiriti responsiveness and te ao Māori practices. As a community-led development advisor, she aided funding marae heritage projects and navigation of government services across the region. No easy feat. Every step of the way, she stayed heavily engaged with her communities and uplifted the voices of whānau, hapu and iwi in those decisions. From establishing community projects, women's safety initiatives, to partnerships with the Ministry of Culture and Heritage, focused on mātauranga Māori and marae taonga, her contributions were immense and widely felt. Wiki is remembered for her innovative thinking, her cultural worldview, a blend that led to transformative change for Māori communities, and I think that's been echoed in almost everyone's kōrero today. In her personal capacity, Wiki was a fierce advocate for improved health outcomes for New Zealanders impacted by cancer, chronic illness and rare disorders. Wiki advocated and raised awareness for breast cancer and health accessibility for wahine Māori. Her dedication led to increased access to cancer medicines across Aotearoa and an inquiry into health inequities for Māori, a report that will have far-reaching impact for current and future generations. Her beautiful whānau, tamariki and mokopuna are an absolute testament to having her in their lives. Would you like to come up, whānau? And we will present the medal. Say hi. Okay, kia ora koutou katoa. I just want to thank everyone. I just want to thank everyone who has come today. Definitely on behalf of me, my brothers, and my whānau, Manaia, Albert, everyone. This has been an amazing event, and I've learnt some things about Mum that I didn't know, but this is a testament to how much of an amazing woman she is, and you all know she is. So good to see everyone as well. I haven't seen some people in a very long time. And yep, she did take me to those meetings. And that's probably why, you know, I'm so smart today. But yeah, this award, it's amazing to our whānau. This is going to be passed down, you know. And I'm so glad that Manaia is here to see this today, and how much of an amazing nanny, mum she was. Do you want to say what? Of course, they won't say anything. But yeah, mum loved her work, loved the community, loved the marae, and
yes, we did share her, and yes, she often would come home with work, but I knew that's what she loved, and we were there to support her every step of the way. This is the last bit. This is the last thing for Mum, and this is her final goodbye. This is the last stage, and now she can rest. Hey, she can rest in peace finally, and have this amazing award for her whānau. And yeah. Anyway, what do you want to say?
Kia ora koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui kia koutou, tēnā rā koutou, ngā mana whenua o tēnei rohi ko rangitāne, tēnā rā koutou. Just on behalf of the whānau, just like to thank you all for coming here and helping us celebrate what is it's a strange feeling. One part of you misses Wiki like mad, and the other part so proud of what she's achieved. So you've got a little bit of two things going on at once. But one thing I think that we have learnt since Wiki's passing is that when a person does go, they leave behind memories and a legacy. And today was about sharing those. And so we've tried to cover as much as we can Wiki's life. There are certain aspects to that I'm sure a lot of you weren't aware of. And in terms of Wiki in the public space, that became quite prominent after her diagnosis with campaigning for the various cancer drugs to be funded. But there was so much more to Wiki than just that. And I know that was one of the things as Wiki was dying, that she wanted to be known for more than just the cancer. The cancer was important and the drugs, but there was a lot of other stuff behind that. And I'd also like to say I have learnt some things as well. I think it was Stella. Thank you for telling us that Wiki disclosed to you that we were going to have children before she ever told me. So I had no idea. Anyway, turned out good. So what can I say? But the other thing I'd just like to touch on too is that, yes, Wiki was an amazing person. She leaves behind an amazing legacy in terms of the mahi that she did, especially with our own, and we'll be forever proud of that. But the legacy that Wiki was most proud of were our children, Molly, Ihai and Patrick, and now Humoko. And she was really happy to spend time with him before she went. And at the time, I guess just being a natural, protective... Yes, kia ora manaia. That's Wiki coming out. She said, hurry up, get on with it. Being a protective father, you know, I probably was a little bit miffed that we were having a moko, Molly was having a moko, but I tell you what, boy, has my world changed, and it certainly changed Wiki's, and it's just been a blessing, a real blessing. So there are a couple of things I'd just like to end on. I would like to really thank those who worked behind the scenes to put this all together. To Victoria, over there, thank you. It's means so much to us. To Whaia Huatahi, who's over in Ngāhi Tareira at the moment. I think she's beaming in, but thank you for the mahi that you did. To Claire, thank you. And also to you, Todd. It was a really easy choice, actually, thinking about who would be an MC who could navigate this space and for setting the tone that we wanted. And thank you so much for doing what you do. So, yeah, I'd just like to... Don't you knock that over. Good boy. Yeah. He's really having a party, isn't he? Anyway, cool. There's just a couple of things I'd like to do just to wrap it up. We thought while we're all here together, there are a couple of things that I just wanted to gift over. We had actually gone up to the opening of the hub, and there was a chair there that's dedicated to Wiki. So if you're ever passing through, as Siobhan said, just call in on them. They'll show you where it is in Wiki's library, and there's a majestic sign there that's been carved by her good friend Israel Tangaroa Birch, who's there at the end. And I'm actually going to ask him to if he could just approach the podium, because we've got a piece of art that we wanted to gift that Israel's been kind enough to offer as a koha. And Mel, sorry Mel, yeah, can you come up as well? Mel's here on behalf of Hospice. She's just got a couple of words. And we're going to ask, can you grab those things? Sorry, we're just, as we go here, behind there. So one of the last things that Wiki did before she died was actually go shopping. Wiki loved to shop. But this time she went shopping for toothbrushes, toothpaste, soaps, flannels, towels from memory, and that was for hospice. And that was done on the Monday, and Wiki passed on the Friday morning. So it was really close, and she was so appreciative of the mahi that hospice did for us as a whānau. They enabled us to have Wiki at home when she finally died, and we were so thankful for that. So Israel's just going to talk to this piece of art that he's done.
Kia ora koutou katoa. I'm one of Wiki's close friends, brother. Thank you so much for the work that you do, and thank you for caring for all those people that we saw in there at that time while Wiki was in there. I, as an artist, make a commitment to the hospice, so if you ever need an artwork, let me know and I'll support you whenever. Don't be like my family, give me 3 months, please. Don't say, hey bro, I need an artwork next week. But I'll make a commitment to the hospice just to support you whenever. This is an artwork called Te Ao Marama. It's an artwork that's about the transition from darkness into light and about the transition back into Te Pō. Te Pō's, Hinenui Te Pō is not death. Hinenui Te Pō is just the carer of our next space, and so I'd just like to present this to the hospice and with the plaque and with other taonga. So, kia ora. That was a hongi antipas.
Right, we'll do that.
Merge.
I feel very honoured to have been invited here today to celebrate the amazing woman Wiki was. I think I can confidently speak on behalf of my colleagues when I say how much we learned from our time with Wiki. Witnessing how dignified, humble, strong and brave she is. The people we meet and walk alongside of for a very small piece of their journey often impact our practice as palliative care nurses, and Wiki certainly did that for me. I felt so privileged to have spent time with this awesome mahine. Such a loving wife, mum and nan. She would be so very proud of how Malcolm and her children have continued to honour her by living their best lives. I'm truly honoured to accept your beautiful gifts on behalf of Arahanui Hospice. Aroha mai. Aroha atu. Love received, love returned.
Thanks, Mel. Thank you. I should have explained, Mel was one of the nurses that cared for Wiki towards the end. Really wonderful team. So I'll just... And there's just 2 other presentations we'd like to make while we're here. Wirama and Cheese, Haramai. So, sorry, I've got to figure out which one it is. Yeah, so as we heard, Wiki had a deep and long-term relationship with the Te Aweawe whānau. She would often have her hand in her heart when you spoke with me. But that's okay. And so, yeah, she loved them. She did a lot of mahi for them. And, you know, answer the call whenever it came out. But just as a little gift from our whānau There's just a little bit here. It's a nice photo of Wiki in her DIA t-shirt, along with the mahi that she did with Rangi too and what the relationship meant to her. So, kia ora kōrua. And last but not least, Wiki loved working for Internal Affairs, and one of the things I think you mentioned, Claire, was that Wiki had been promoted towards the end of her life. I sort of laugh now, but she was very proud of that, and she worked tirelessly. And for us as a whānau, having that support meant the world to us, and you enabled her to work around her illness. And certainly, it's one of the things I reflect upon during that time, was that Wiki didn't want to be all consumed about cancer. You know, she wanted a focus, and you gave that to her. And I know she was forever grateful for that. So we were lucky enough when we were going through some of Wiki's stuff, she'd left a few notes around, as she often did. And this is just some of the notes that she spoke about. But one of the things she did, she wrote the following 5 principles when working with Tū Te Nganga Hau, the Brief of Endeavour, a workshop training program for the hapori of Whanganui Awa. And Wiki wrote, you must be relationship focused, and you must identify a community mobiliser. You must need to ask the people what they want. Go in with no preconceived ideas, and any project must be based around their wishes. Prescribed funding models may not work. The goals of the participants are different, with some participating for employment, others for skills, others to connect with their community. There are many challenges in living remotely, but there are also many opportunities. When successful, expect to see a huge community growth in confidence, motivation, social skills and connectedness. Many communities practice tikanga in everything they do. They can also have a connection to their awa and whenua that underpins their lives. And finally, Wiki wrote, I'm connecting people, whānau communities, with resources that can create change for them. It creates a legacy for future generations. I always say I'm very proud to work for DIA. I also feel very loyal for the support I have received from DIA. When I look around my communities, I can see buildings and strong people who are involved in their communities. I can say I have had a hand in that. So. So that's us, folks. Once again, thank you very much for coming. I think Todd will take it from here, but I think there's a cup of tea and everything afterwards. We'd love to just catch up with you all. There's a lot of you here, so yeah. But thanks once again. This means a lot. Kia ora tātou.
O te rā, ko te nei, o tātou nei tikana, e nei ahuatana te whakanui i a Wiki. I take inspiration from your kupu, Molly Rose, and aku whakamutunga, koe ea, koe ea, koe ea. Wiki, your time here is over. Me hoki atu koe kia wheturangi hia, hei kai tiro iho mo te whānau. Mo te whānau, a tātou nei e noho mai nei ki runga tonu i te mato o te whenua, hei whetu arataki a tātou. May Wiki rest in peace in the stars as a guardian for her whānau and for all of us, and as an inspiration. And with that, we go forward, and we take the gifts, the taonga that have been shared today, and up until today, and use those to help carry us forward i roto i te ao marama nei. Nō reira, aku kupu whakamutunga nei, e tahi kia marama hi ai. Just want to thank Paul and Victoria, hei whakakanohi te karauna, mō tō tātou nei tikanga. We are going to have a chance to have a kaitahi together now. hei whakanoa, hei whakanui, hei whāngai hia i nā kōrero i wainganui a tātou. We've also set up, with the support of the whānau, just on the left here, a little photo booth. And they would be very keen for all of us to utilise that to get some photos of you all. A lot of the connections here will continue, but this will be the last time we're all together. So please do take the opportunity to get some photos, especially the whānau, because our photographer Alex is a particularly good photographer. So for a range of reasons that could be of value to you all. Nō reira, travel safely home everybody, and all the best in continuing to uphold the legacy of Wiki in the work that we do with our community. Now I'd humbly ask our matua wiremu, ki hara mai ki te whakakapi tō tātou hui me te tuku karakia mō te kai. And just before that, we're going to play the tribute, which is the whakamānawa, just before our karakia, aroha mai matua, and just some music and photos just as a tribute mō tō tātou nei tuahine. Nō reira, tēnā tātou.
are nights, and my nights are days. Everything I do try seems to turn out wrong. When you were here, you gave me so much joy. My heart was meant for many loves. I'm a girl with a brand new heart. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Baby, I've been missing you. I've been missing you, baby. Baby, I've been missing you. Shared our love, but now it's gone. Like a stranger in a big old town, I feel so all alone. Ooh, babe, I love you so much. How could I ever do without your loving touch? Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Baby, I've been missing you. I've been missing you, baby. Baby, I've been missing you. When you were here, you gave me so much joy. My heart was meant for many loves. I'm a girl with a brand new heart. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Baby, I've been missing you. I've been missing you, baby. Baby, I've been missing you. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Baby, I've been missing you. I've been missing you, baby. Baby, I've been missing you. Oh, yeah. Baby, I've been missing you.
Kia ora. I'm just going to give a quotation out of the Paipira Tapu. Let him who is great among you be the servant of all. And you've just seen that in today. And when I look at the calibre of people sitting around this room, you know, there's Claire, there's Paul, there's all these ones come up from Wellington. There's even the Mayor Mangawhata turned out today. You know, he'll tell you where that is later. But when I look around, you people, what a great bunch of people you are. And you know, when it comes to the end, we would talk about these things. But Wiki and I would also talk about the Lord and how important where we're going. So that was a good thing for her in her life. And that's like all of us. We all go through it. Anyway, the Promised Land, Rangiotu, we get 2,500 kids a year go through our marae, thanks to Wiki, Maggie May and Internal Affairs. And we've been really blessed. We booked out, we've got people booking into next year already, Christmas time. And that's because Internal Affairs and these guys came out and helped us. Our marae was not alive. But since that wharekai, and we got the Tūhoi showers. Have you heard about the Tūhoi showers? Any people from Tūhoi here? Tūhoi?
Yeah, right here.
Right here. Good. Listen to this carefully. Why are they called the Tūhoi showers? When you go in there, you press the button and it comes out mist. You press it again, it comes out normal. And you press it a third time, it comes out massage. Henceforth, the Tūhoi showers, the people of the mist. Kia ora. With that, I better end with a prayer before they string me. Amen. And to those Whanganui people, we did that first trip down way back, and when I sit on Te Atamira Tai Whenua, and we were very clear. We took what we knew then and took it back and lambasted those people, and we got right to the head office people. And Paul, I don't know if you were there then, but man, did we cause a stir. And it was good because we broke every rule. We didn't listen to anyone, just went ahead and did it. Kia ora. I better pray now, just after that. Almighty God, I thank you, Lord, for each and every person here. I thank you for Malcolm and his family. But most of all, I thank you for Wiki and the memory and how she's impacted on each and every one of our lives. How she was so important, Lord, that she just blessed everyone beyond her, who she touched and met. And Lord, it's a legacy that we all have to carry on with. Kia tau, kia tātou katoa. Te ata whaia tō tātou ariki e hukraiti. Me te aroha me te atua, me te whiwhina tahitanga ki te wairua tapu, ake ake, amene. Let's stand and sing here, Hornady. You want to start off talk?
Oh, there might be someone out there who might start us off.
E gloria manarongo ki te whenua, whakaro pai e ki ngā tangata katoa. Ake ake, ake ake, amine. Te atua, te piringa, tōku oranga, tōku oranga. We do things great at Rangatani. We're now going to give thanks for the food. Whakapaingi nei kai, hei oro mo mātou tina na whangai hoki o mātou waru ki taru ki oro ko ihi karaiti hoki, amine. And in true Rangatani fashion, ladies first. Kia ora.